believe it is. I don't believe the Senate is going to pass this bill because they know it's wrong to spend $4 million up there on an institution that was not needed in the first place, when that money can more economically be spent to service the students in the existing colleges. The colleges like SMU and TCU, the colleges like North Texas, the University of Texas Arlington, colleges like TWU and Denver. They know that. They know that full well. 41 students, 52 faculty members, $4 million in the appropriation. $4.5 million. I don't think this Senate is going to pass that bill, creating that institution as a 4-year institution. I think we've convinced them. I hope we've convinced them, Senator, because we've talked here long and hard enough. And, Senator, we're going to talk a little bit longer, a good deal longer, I think, to convince them. There are facts to be brought out. There are facts to be brought out. There are more facts to be brought out. But I think we've got the attention, and with just a little more time, and a little more effort, a little more education, a little more talk, this Senate is going to rebel, and it's going to turn on that group, and it's going to kill this bill, and it's going to try to place that money in these existing institutions that need the money so badly to meet the needs of those students who are already in those institutions.
I know that you must have been in the pits at least 5 times throughout the afternoon. In one stretch, it seemed like it was about a 45-minute stop for you.
Yes, it was quite lengthy, and we changed many things on the car, went out, tried it, and it didn't seem to cure the problem. We finally changed a battery in the car, and it cured the problem to a certain degree, but it still was there. We could run quick enough to keep the pace, but we couldn't race anybody really. The few of the slower cars we could run with and pass, but I was trying to stay out of the way because I'd lost a great number of laps and didn't want to get in anybody's way that was racing for a good position up front. And we just did what we could do, and that was it.
Kind of a hard luck 2 years in a row, really.
Yes, it's been actually 8 years in a row now. I've been here, and 9 has been my lucky number. That was the number on the sprint car I drove to the national sprint car title. Maybe next year.
You're going to stay in here until you get 5,000.
I'm going to be in this cage. We got a lot of rain the last couple of days. I don't know why the rain comes now. We need the rain, of course, but
Makes it nice for your water bed.
Yeah, we've been in here a while. We started Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, and we've been going strong ever since.
How's your home life?
Well, I don't have too much home life at the moment. I think that I might be in trouble at home.
Well, I think the major thing that's been accomplished is that the session is drawing to a close, and that apparently we're going to get the work done without a special session, which everybody thought was impossible when it started. Of course, I had some disappointments. I was very disappointed that the utilities bill didn't pass, and I was, of course, disappointed in the fact that I considered the tax bill to be very overloaded on the consumer, and once again, we did not pass a fair corporate profits tax.
But what are the things that have been accomplished that are for the good of the state?
Well, the basic thing is, of course, that we have a good appropriations bill, and I just can't think of anything else right now.
Senator Harris, what do you feel have been the major accomplishments of this legislative session, or have there been any?
I'm afraid there haven't been any real significant accomplishments by this session of the legislature. A good many things were left undone, constitutional revision being one of them. One of the things we're wrestling with right now is redistricting, and we've waited, I think, far too late in the session because we have a crash program to redistrict. The Senate passed congressional redistricting night before last, which was unsatisfactory in my judgment. We have still yet to touch upon House and Senate redistricting, and by the Constitution, we must adjourn by Monday at midnight. So I'm not sure we're going to be able to accomplish all that needs to be this session, and I'm afraid that we're going to be forced into a special session.
Parker, has this been a productive session in your opinion?
Well, it's produced lots of controversy and lots of legislation. It's been productive in that sense. It's a little early to tell whether or not it's going to be the production of the kind I like or not.
I don't think there's a split in sight. In fact, it was reassuring to me that the Chief of Police stated that he is against lowering our standards in any way, and this is exactly what I'm in favor of, not lowering our standards.
What specifically didn't you like about the city council action that took place?
Well, a group of militants went before the city council the other day and demanded that our entrance exam be lowered. Now, then this is what I took exception to. I don't think that our city council or our police department should be dictated to by any group of militants.
What about this reevaluation of the tests themselves? The chief said that he thought that possibly with our current testing procedures that we may have been overlooking some very good men that could be useful to the Dallas police force. Would you have any objections to a reevaluation of the tests?
No, I have no objection at all. The only objection I had was to the demands that this test be lowered. If this test does not adequately test the person for the job of police officer, certainly it should be reevaluated and the type of test that is needed be implemented. But I don't think that we should just lower the test in order to get more applicants. I would like to clarify right now the position of the Dallas Police Association. We are not prejudiced against any minority group or any race. We are glad to see the blacks and the Mexican Americans become police officers. We encourage them. In fact, I have many friends down there who are blacks and Mexican Americans. But we do not feel like that this militant group should go before our city council and dictate to us the type of exam we should give for entrance exam for the Dallas Police Department.
Lindsay, or Mayor Stokes, or Mayor Lugar, and by the way, I'm hitting the liberal conservative spectrum there. Anytime they come up with new and innovative suggestions, I think that's what these conferences are for, and unless the mayors do this, the conferences are going to be no good.
Is there any validity to the observation under Mayor Lindsay's proposal for chartered cities, that some cities in America have more people than some states, and that the things that they are concerned with sometimes are more locally oriented, that there may be some wisdom in chartering those cities with great numbers of people?
Yes, there's some validity in that, and of course, Dallas is one of those cities that is more populous than some states. I think it remains to be seen just how responsive the federal government is going to be to the city's problems. But by the same token, the states have to be responsive to the city's problems too. And I was quite disturbed a couple of weeks ago, as you know, because we discussed it with Channel 8. I was quite disturbed about the state government's lack of responsiveness to our pleas on the liquor by the drink tax. We better get responsiveness from all areas of government, or we're going to have to move to something as drastic as what Mayor Lindsay suggested.
What about the proposal by Mayor Stokes on the federal subsidizing of housing projects?
I think that really reeks of socialism, and I am against socialism. I believe we have the best form of government anywhere in the world here, and most of the countries who were represented at this international conference would agree with me on that. I think this just smacked too much of socialism. I would not be in favor of it.
The festive mood of a Sunday morning brunch and the fact that the last day of the session is a holiday really doesn't mean a thing, because these legislators know they still have a number of decisions facing them, and they have a very grueling night tonight and a long day and night tomorrow before they're finished. This is Roger McDonald, Channel 8 News on the Move in Austin. This time you're not impressed with what has been accomplished.
No, I didn't like the tax bill, although we got one passed. I'm not too happy with the redistricting plan, because I think at least the House redistricting plan, I believe, will be thrown out by federal court.
Even though there's only about 30 hours left in this legislative session, and even though a filibuster continues in the Texas Senate chamber, some members of the House and Senate were able to take time out to come over and have a little socializing with each other, a little relaxation here in the midst of what have been very busy and very pressing days. And even in the context of a brunch, a Sunday morning brunch, these legislators have taken time out to analyze what has been accomplished or what has not been accomplished during this legislative session. Specifically, we talked with Senator Charles Wilson, with Senator Ike Harris, and with Representative Carl Parker.
Senator, if we could get a full reading, I guess we know what's in it, but it's impossible to get a full reading. Senator Creighton told me when it voted for a full reading. Well, you didn't vote for it. Senator, I did. And I voted for it. The chair ruled against the Senator. Well, why don't you call for a full reading, Senator, if you want us to know what's in it? Well, how about letting the rest of us know what's in it, Senator? I'll be glad to answer any questions. Well, fine. You call for a full reading and we can find out, Senator. I think most of us know. Well, I did, Senator. I think most of us know what's in it. It's going to certainly go a long way to increase the costs of insurance in this state. It's not only going to do that, it's going to be a great blow to the industrial development in this state, because it makes it so much easier to file damage suits, whether cause is justified or not, and it certainly increases the number of awards the potential at least for awards on damage claims by juries. Whether or not it has a 10-2 or the 9-3 jury verdict in there, I couldn't say. But I think this, it will put many more lawsuits into the courthouse and change a major philosophy of insurance in this state, and certainly is going to cost the motoring public like they've never paid before. I think that point is eminently clear and has been made clear for the whole purpose of the comparative negligence. I don't know if the same
There were reports over the weekend from Washington that Congress might be considering more a theory of withdrawal with strength from Vietnam. How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't quite understand this withdrawal with strength idea, but my own idea is that since it is a no-win war and it's an undeclared war, that it's time we brought the boys home. And my own attitude is we've got a lot of things to do in this country to defend America. It's the number one thing in America is to defend America, and we ought to be increasing our defense budget and working for a stronger country. We're letting the Russians get ahead of us, all because we sit and dilute our effort in Vietnam. And I want to bring everybody home and concentrate on building up our military strength here.
This time we're in stride, we're in movement. I think we're in a measure of understanding, and it's been a great experience.
You don't foresee any problems?
Oh, not problems. We've got privileges. I think everybody's delighted over some of the accomplishments that have taken place.
What are the recommendations that will come out of this conference?
Well, one very likely is passing 2 constitutional amendments which are in line with the youth movements of the day, giving youth a larger representation in the local annual conference. For instance, 2 from each district in the conference will be selected and will be seated with the delegates, regardless of how young they are. This is putting elasticity into the conference sessions. We've had more calcium than elasticity.
Mr. Kirkland, tell me about finding this money.
Well, I was digging with a drag line out there on Walnut Hill Lane, and I dug up one bucket full, dumped it out there, and I found $20 bills, a bunch of them. So I put them in my pocket, and I went on and kept digging, and after a while I saw some more out there, and it was a whole bunch of $100 bills, a bunch of packages of them, and a bunch of packages of $50 bills. So I put them all in a rag and took them up my truck and went to the 7-Eleven store and called the sheriff's office, and they came out there and investigated it, and they took it with them.
Did the sheriff's office ever count the money in your presence?
No, they counted it in their car.
In their car? You didn't witness them counting the money?
No, sir, I didn't.
How much money do you think there was?
Well, I didn't know. I knew it was thousands of dollars.
fall for it, just buy it. Here you go. 10 cents, not 25, 10 in this area. Now Lester does it again.
And I would say to you that the very fact that we're receiving these nominations from all our colleagues in the Senate is ample proof that the members of the Senate are trying to help us in this effort to get this bill killed. They're backing us up. They're supporting us in this filibuster effort. If they weren't in support of us, they wouldn't be standing here asking questions like Senator Brooks has done and like so many other senators have done. They wouldn't be sending up names of people that they want for the Hall of Heroes. This just Hall of Heroes gives us an opportunity to talk, to stall for time, to make our point, and we're getting the support from the Senate that we wish to get. So we're just delighted for that. We've had a good time discussing Texas history, and we've had a good time talking about some of the fantastic and colorful people that have been on the scene in Texas for many, many years. But it's a vehicle, very frankly, to give in an effort to get the time, to stall, to put the pressure, to kill this bill. I think we've got it killed. We're going to knock on wood, so and keep talking until we get a little bit better feel and a little bit better report.
I don't go much for his program of making the cities, as it were, sort of states unto themselves with a direct relationship to the federal government. First of all, I think the states have to recognize a much closer alliance with the cities, and then in turn they have their relationship with the federal government. But as far as making the cities, at this point in time, making the cities a real city-state, so to speak, with a direct relationship to the federal government, I don't go much for it.
Members of the Texas legislature got off to a rather slow start today in spite of the fact that it's the last day of the session and there are untold numbers of bills pending, many of them considered very important. The slow start probably was due to the late hour that both houses worked last night. The Senate completing a record-setting filibuster by Don Kennard of Fort Worth as he attempted to stop the University of Texas at Dallas bill. The bill has been stopped so far. It would have created a four-year institution from one which now accepts only juniors, seniors, and postgraduate students. Kennard was congratulated heartily by his fellow senators when he passed that record-setting mark. In the House of Representatives, members worked into the early morning hours today after a log jam created by the members of the so-called Dirty 30 yesterday, which blocked passage of legislation during the afternoon. House Speaker Gus Mutcher resubmitted those bills for consideration during the day today, and he sloughed off criticism that logjam developed because of his so-called vindictiveness brought out in the House redistricting bill.
During the past 140 days, I wanted to devote complete energies toward handling the legislative process in the best manner we know how. And we all really have a great number of problems to solve in 140 days, so there won't be any shortage of issues. But when you check back and the record has been closed for the 140 days, I think we've accomplished more in this session of the legislature in 140 days than any time in the last 10 years.